Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got some play-up props here on a Tuesday for you guys right after Christmas. 9 games to choose from. Nate and I are coming off a little sweep, 6-0 total with the best bets and the play-up props there for Monday as we did a little look-ahead video for you guys for those Christmas games. We also have best bets up today in addition to these play-up props we're bringing you. So go ahead and like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along all season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use the prop finder tool that we're putting up on the site for you guys so you can make sure that you get the best juice available to you from all of these books that are giving us these play-up props this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first one. You stole Jabari Smith from me, which is fine because it just means we're in full agreement on it.
Yeah, because you got to take power forwards against the Indiana Pacers, especially when said power forward is coming off the best stretch of his career, his young career. I mean, it's time to put Jabari in the conversation with the other guys in his draft class as just a really good prospect who, we didn't see much from last year. I don't want to throw the former coach under the bus there, Silas, but Udoka is getting the most out of these young guys because he's making them get back on defense, try hard, get boards, and it's finally clicking for him in his last 3. Now Jabari, 27 points per game, nearly 11 rebounds on 60-60-90 shooting, getting the minutes as a result. And, last March when he played Indy, he got 47 minutes, went for 30 and 12. So, I mean, the Pacers are just so bad against power forwards. It's almost as if they play 4-on-5 and don't start at power forward. Sorry again to Obi Toppin for throwing that shade, but in their last 7 games, giving up 39 points per game to the position, by far the most on the season to the position, 30 points per game. In general, in their last 7 on this IST hangover, allowing 129 a game on league high 54% field goal shooting, still playing pretty fast, 102.7 pace. Their team rebounding rate, 25th in the league at 48%, and Jabari has 18 potential rebounds in his last 3, grabbing 11 of those. Like his matchup more than Şengün, who gets Miles Turner and has more elevated props, because we haven't seen as much consistency yet from Jabari Smith, but I will take the early part of the wave here and say he gets a 4th straight good game going.
Yeah. You're going to get 0 arguments from me. Like I said, I love this pick. And I would add, the rebounds are there for him. He's running in transition, which is huge. He's getting a bunch of points in transition. He's now getting out in transition with the second highest frequency on the team, which is huge for their not very, vital transition game, but at least they have one when Jabari Smith is getting the ball and going or just running with his athleticism down the floor. The potential rebounds are there because of that. The points and the usage are there. So the minutes are there. I think Udoka has been waiting to play this dude as many minutes as he could to just have a solid, versatile dude in there to play that type of defense. And yeah, I'm all over this with you with the points and rebounds. The rebounds at 9.5. A double-double, which is close to even money as well. So there's a couple plays to play Jabari in a great matchup against the Pacers. I'm going to take an under in a not great matchup for Chet Holmgren against Minnesota. I don't want to be too chalky here, but not chalky, I guess, because it's an under, but too obvious. But 29.5 PRA, that's what I'm going for the total package for the under for him. He did have 7 assists last game, but that was far and away the most of his career against the Clips and Zubac. So I'm not going to go too far into that, but I am going to go into how he's gone in 9 under 30 PRA in 9 of his last 10 games. He's done this the majority of the time in the season. He's not really a prop line that he goes over very consistently. So I don't know why I would take him to go over it against the best defensive center in the league this year. Mitchell Robinson's out for the year, so I don't even think there's much of a conversation at this point. And Rudy's just been that good, man. Who am I forgetting? Who am I forgetting as the other best? Okay, yeah. Bam's really good. Rudy's probably a little bit better this year. Not as important. They're both very, very good. They are limiting centers, though, to the fewest rebounds per game in terms of the T-Wolves. And yeah, actually, that is going to be really interesting. Who's first team all defensive center this year? That's actually a fun matchup. But the thing with Chet in this one is the rebound chances might be there for him. I love to make sure that I'm getting volume. If I'm going to take out a guy to get rebounds, I want to know if he's even in position to get those rebounds. And against Rudy last time, he had 20 of them, which is second most for any center in the league this season against Minnie for how many chances he had. He just rebounded them at a 40% rate, which is not that much worse than what he's at when he plays teams that are good against centers in terms of the amount of rebounds he's actually pulling down compared to the amount of chances he has. It's not as many as you might think. I do want Cat to be in there. They are a better rebounding team when Cat is on the floor, unsurprisingly, as their power forward alongside Rudy. Those guys have done much better on defense, especially this year, than they did in the short sample size playing together last year because of those cat injuries. But when they're both on the floor right now in their two-man lineup, their defensive rating is below 115, and their rebound percentage is up above 75%, which is very, very good, which is what you want it to be at on the season. So that's going to limit his rebounds a ton. Like I said, they are limiting centers to the fewest rebounds, 11th fewest points, 12th fewest assists, like whatever that you want to do with that's like 4 assists a game for the opposing center. So I do think this one might be a little bit faster pace than the last time these teams played. They're in OKC, so I understand that that there's that fear that this isn't going to be like a 106-103 game or whatever it was last time in Minnesota, because OKC plays faster at home. They score more points at home, but they also play just as good a defense at home. So I do think this is still going to be a bit of a battle, right? Like a let's call it a slobber knocker. Not quite a slobber knocker, more of a mini melee, if you will, or a brouhaha, something to those effects, but not quite a bloodbath. It's still going to be a little bit more free flowing, but I do think down low, Chet's going to be a little bit overmatched.
Yeah, he's just giving up too much poundage, right? I mean, against these true centers, like it's hard to imagine Chet going off to this degree, continuing to put up the numbers he's put against in better matchups. Like Minnesota limits everything. Like they're going to limit your assists as a team, limit your rebounds as they're such a good rebounding team, and definitely limit points at the center position because Rudy is that good. I mean, I just threw out Bam there because he's a more versatile defender, and we didn't get to see a matchup on Embiid, but Gobert, after getting cooked by Embiid, I think Bam would have done a much better job on Christmas if we had gotten that matchup. I digress, though. I'm taking an under on another big here. Sabonis under 21.5 points or 29.5 points in assists if you want to take it. I mean, the assists are way down on the road for him. 3 fewer assists per game this season. That's why I think about throwing it in there. I mean, it's a little scary because he's a double-digit assist guy. So play it either way you want. You get slightly better odds if you add the assists. But the way I'm looking at this, last time he played Portland, 27, 11, and 6 in 40 minutes because there was no De'Aaron Fox. And his usage rate is obviously going to be much different with De'Aaron Fox active. It's a much better matchup for Fox against this Portland backcourt that now has Anthony Simons playing and is a real negative defensively. They've been playing Scoot a lot. His previous 4, Sabonis, against DeAndre Ayton, let's look at 19 points per game, 20% usage. His previous 4 against Portland's usually thrown out like Drew Eubanks or, maybe Nurkic when they had early in the season. 16.5 points per game despite a higher usage rate. On the road, the Kings offense, not as good, we know. 15.6 points per game and 5.5 assists for Domo in his last 5 road games. He's gone under 7.5 assists in 9 of his last 10 roadies. Blazers, I mean, they allow the 9th lowest assist to field goal ratio at home. Their spikes lately in terms of opponents' assists are mostly from playing Golden State's offense. It is interesting that they allowed the second most fast break points and points off turnovers. Gonna let the Kings get out in transition here. And what does that mean again? More production for Fox and the guards, less Domo initiating things in the half court. I mean, because he just can't necessarily, he's not going to be the one pushing the pace. So I think he goes under with the points. I think I'm a little more confident in that. But if you add the assists here, the numbers indicate that lately on the road and in this type of matchup, he's not going to get a ton of assists.
Yeah, it would add up. I like the under in this situation for just because it doesn't seem like a situation that you should take him. But when you dive into the numbers, you do realize like basically what I'm saying is I never want to trust dominating to stop anybody, but like this is a pretty good matchup or bad matchup, I should say, at least for the points, especially. I do like the under the points. I understand a bit of the fear of just 21.5 for Domas, but I do think the points alone are just as good, if not a slightly better bet than even adding the assists. And that's partly because I'm terrified of how I thought he was going to go under assists in the last game that they just played, and he had 12 or 13. So that was something a little bit different, but we'll see either way. Even if he got that in this game, I do think he's good for under 21 points. So let me close it out and just go with, we were talking about Trae Young under. I do still like Trae under at 28.5 points. He's questionable and seems legitimately questionable to not play. If he does play, I am hitting that under Trey 28.5 points. He doesn't do this on the road against Chicago, and he doesn't do this in general against Caruso. He's gone under this number in his 4 of his last 5 versus the Bulls when they have Caruso in there. So this is just too high for him in a game that I think will be a little bit lower scoring than the usual Atlanta 250-point baloney that we continue to see this season with the way that the Bulls are playing now. The 3rd best defensive rating on the season over the last 12 without Mr. Levine in there. So yeah, well, anyway, moving on to this bet that I am going to make no matter what, because Paolo is going to play against the Wizards. So I am going to take Paolo to go for 20-plus points, and I'm going to drop that spread down from 7.5, and it might keep rising to about 4.5. I like to get it under 5 points rather than just take the money line so that I can still get a little bit of juice. It's minus 120 if you take minus 4.5 on Orlando's alt line plus Paolo 20-plus points. And I wanted to get down to the 20 because Paolo doesn't get the 25 that much this season. It's a little bit of a sophomore season-ish, or is it his 3rd season already now? It might be his 3rd. Yeah, my bad. 3rd season for Paolo. His sophomore didn't. Is it his second?
No, it's his second. He's the second.
That's right.
Rookie of the year last
Dude,
year.
I can't even keep track of this time anymore. Rookie of the year last year because Chet was also hurt, by the way. That helped him out a little bit. But Jalen Williams came on strong. That's right. Either way, the sophomore slump for him is a little bit real, but he's still like overcoming it enough to still have his like 20-point games, especially the 20-point games. So if you look at the 20-point games in his last 10, he's gone over this 8 times. And then if you look at the 25 points, not quite as often, right? So I did want to drop it down a bit, but it's Washington against power forwards, and they give up everything against power forwards, as we know. They are giving up are they up to the first most? They're up to third or 4th most points to the position. They are still in the bottom 3 in terms of allowing rebounds to the position as well. So if you want to do some Paolo points and rebounds, I'm good with that. The rebound chances weren't quite there for him in the last couple games against Washington, mostly because they are playing entirely in transition. They were shooting a lot of threes as well, so there were longer rebounds compared to where Paolo seems to be playing on defense, as his matchup is whoever is, I guess, Kuz usually is who he was guarded last time, but there was a lot of Denny Advicha as well that he's guarding. So it's between the two of those guys, meaning that like it's debatable how often he's going to be down low for the boards. But I do think if you wanted to take like 26 points and rebounds over that, it's just you got to take this alt stuff. So the 20 points for him is still very, I'm very confident in that. His usage rate is still up above 25%. And against this team, you're going to be talking about who attacks the rim, right? Just who gets into the lane, who goes to the bucket and drives or cuts. And that's what he's doing on every play. It's either a drive or a cut for him. And that's just what Washington can't defend is those versatile power forwards. We talk about them, the Hawks, the Hornets, and the Pacers. Those are my top 4 teams where I'm just like, all right, who's the athletic power forward and who, or at least who plays like the athletic power forward that's crashing to the rim on offense consistently and trying to get those offensive rebounds as well. That's Paolo in this situation. So I'm going to take him for the 20 plus with the 4.5 money, minus 4.5 as well for Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, when you see Washington, Charlotte, Indy, you basically blindly click on a wing, on a skilled wing getting there over here. And the thing with the Magic is Paolo and Franz are soaking up so much of the usage that I would look at some SGPs with the both of them to get maybe both of them to get 20 plus. I think the last times they played the Wizards in back-to-back games, Franz might have been around 30, and Paolo sprained his ankle in the first one, only had 6. Right. They didn't need him in down the stretch, and then he comes right back and gets 28. Both of them should thrive in this matchup, and both of them are looking at heavy usage when you have a guy like Jalen Suggs out there who's just concentrating on defense, and yeah, they should be feeding these 2 big wings.
I like it. Yeah, Franz, if you add Franz in there, you get that up to about plus 160 on DraftKings. I think it actually might be a little bit better on FanDuel, and I would also check MGM and Caesars as far as that goes. But that is all the time we have for you in this one. Continue to follow along, like and subscribe to that page. Check out the best bets that we also have up for you. Look to keep this little sweep going. 6-game winning streak here for us. Haven't lost since before Christmas Day. So we'll keep it going here for you guys. And until we do see you next, happy betting.